Hello and welcome to another Ammach Project Archives. In this episode, we are still with the interview series and we will meet Chantelle Sabrina Pyper. She is one of those people who had to pull the courage from the bottom of her boots to eventually, after months of asking, come and tell a little bit of her story. And it is fascinating. She's met at least 3 or 4 types of being, very unusual, some of them as well. She talks about a dinosaur kind of being with horns. She talks about an orange energy being radiating very much like the sun. The greys seem to factor in, of course, but taller ones, maybe over 5 foot something. And then a long time of experience with shadow people. So there seems to be also, in this case, a lot of input and a lot of interest from military and intelligence. And I think you're going to find this quite interesting. And, you know, not everybody is articulate, is erudite in expressing their story. And I hope you will find this very authentic lady very interesting. Her story is exceptional, and clearly it's another case of an intergenerational link, of which she is just one. Enjoy.
Chantelle, you've had absolutely a life full of experiences. Start at the beginning. Perhaps you could tell us your earliest memories.
My earliest memories was age 7 years of age. I don't know anything much from it. I was communicating like with spirits, floated through a wall or in front of me, communicating or...
Friendly?
Yeah, friendly.
What was it? Was it chatting and...
Just like communicating, like there was sort of... It's really hard to explain really. Like, you know, with toys I'd got at that, they were like playing, like...
Did you tell your mum?
Yeah. I don't know really, she didn't know what to say, and then she just says, oh, you probably got imaginary friends or something like that. No, it weren't that. I was born with this gift.
And what would you say this gift is?
It started off with that weird spirits that I was communicating with, and it started with these entities. That started from the age of 7 when I was out one afternoon or early evening. It could have been playing on park. What I can remember, first experience, an alien abduction.
How did that happen?
Well, all my friends went back home because they got called in to go back home. I just sat on park, laid on grass. I just seen this gold light at first beam down on me, and then this bright light. And then I just felt calm and relaxed, and I could just felt like this floating feeling, floating up into this.
You didn't think you were dreaming?
No, wide awake. That was my first date, what I can remember, you know.
Yeah, and do you remember what happened at that as a little girl in the craft?
I know I can't remember much about it. I can remember when I did get put back on the same spot where I were, it were dark and it were really late, and my parents told me off, wondered why I was out that late, and were ready to ring police to wonder where I was. It would have been 3 hours, 4 hours.
Did you find yourself fearful?
Not then.
So when you did come back and you got told off by your mum and dad, how did you feel?
Well, I told them, but they just didn't know what to make on it. Like, they just did me something to it and told me to go to bed.
How did things progress? You got obviously a very developed telepathic ability, remote viewing as well.
Yeah.
So you're saying sight telepathy?
Yeah, I can see. When they communicate, I can hear them and I can also see them.
And when you say them, who are we talking about?
Well, anything. I think the entities or someone we communicate on time back, what weren't in the spirit world, what were alive, communicating with me, what were here.
Is there a very big difference between those?
Yeah, I know these what have passed over. So we're communicating with the spiritual world and what's alive on this planet, and then I communicate with these alien entities. But I see them as well as here. So I left school, I saw like the greys. I only seen them at first, the greys.
From 7 years old, how soon after that first experience when you were 7 did the next experience happen?
It happened odd times from that age still when I was indoors, but I seemed to get at that age abducted more outdoors when I was out playing. When you're that young, you see, you're not aware so much what's going off.
Did your friends see anything, or did they have any experiences?
I just used to get back late. The bright lights beaming down. Because I was so young, I didn't know missing time. And when I'd get back home again, parents would tell me off again for being in late. And so I had to explain to them again what were happening. And
what about the children? Did they ever get abducted with you?
Well, I don't know, because when we had that missing time, but I didn't know missing time until I got back with my parents. At that age, just don't know what's going off.
Did you see what they looked like? Could you tell at that time?
At that young age, the greys, not so much the others, what I interact with now at this moment with the greys. Tall greys, and they're more a pale white to me. All of the greys, don't they? They're more of a pale white.
They're often known as being about 5'3", 5'6". Is that sort of the right sort
they
of
stand
height?
a bit taller than me. They wear like a black polo net wool jumper, what comes right up to the chin. Then they wear like this black blazer suit jacket, and then they've got these black trousers on and they wear black shoes, but the trousers are a bit baggy all here, sort of like they look a bit, long. That's how I see them. Black trousers, black shoes and a black blazer jacket.
Again, do they work with you in any specific way?
No, at that time, no, I'm younger now.
Yeah.
Why? They started taking me from age 7.
Yeah. So when did you start having memories or flashbacks?
When I left school,
Yeah.
I started realising then this is real. When I was younger, I just didn't know what to make of it. But when I got left school, sort of, then when I got in my early 20s, that's when I realised it was real. It's really happening.
Was there a defining moment?
Well, it's more when I lived at Newbold, Chesterfield, witnessed by about over 40 people out on the street. There were a disc above my home, dish saucer. I was paralysed on settee. I seen about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 greys around me, and when I come round I got Dominic quick because he were only a baby then. I opened the door, run down path, and I seen everybody out on the street. I was just a bit dazed. My mate came up to me, Andrew, and she says, "Get back indoors." I says, "What?" She says, "There were a disc shaped saucer hovering above your home." I says, "Yeah, I went paralysed." I says, "Did anything else happen?" She says, "No, it just shot off." So they just observed me that time. Then there was a time when I left Newbold, Andrea says, "Well, Alex, husband, come with me, went to see Andrew," and she said 2 weeks after you left that property, they were having above your home again, but house were empty, like they'd come back for me, but I weren't there. That was witnessed again, even just that when I'd left. Well, when I were in my 20s, I did get a bit scared of getting abducted and what were happening, still to understand everything. I thought there were angels and demons coming from me, floating through the wall, taking me, angels and demons, creatures or whatever, and I told my mum about it. She just looked at me gone out, so I thought, well, I'll leave it at that. She thinks I'm crazy. Then one time again, I think I left it a few weeks or so, and I told her again, and I showed her a picture. I says, "These, what's taking me?" Then she went in a drawer and got this picture out, and she says, "That, same." I says, "Well, why did you look at me gone out when I first told you? Why didn't you tell me about it before?" And she says, "Well, you just don't know what to say. I didn't want to scare you, like." So I says, "How long they've been taking you?" She says, "They started taking me when I got pregnant with you," meaning me, and when I was born, they stopped taking her, and then they started taking me.
But she also said, didn't she, if I'm remembering correctly, the children that she'd had that far were planned.
Yeah, I weren't.
but you weren't, and she just suddenly found herself pregnant.
Yeah, she says all others were planned, you weren't planned, you just happened. And I got, because my mum had got that gift as well.
And you said, did your gran have it as well? So it's a sort of generational.
She seemed to know a lot of things, yeah.
And even your son.
Yeah, Dominic's got it as well. But my other son, Shane, who was 28, he hadn't got it. My other son don't get abducted, only Dominic does. Abductions in 1997. That year, all through 1997, I got abducted quite a load of times with triangle, the black triangle and dark navy blue one. That was the most year I've been abducted a lot. Well, what it were, I lived at Whitwell then. I was just relaxing on bed, and I had.
When you say Whitwell, can I just ask you which county is that? Is that
Whitwell,
Derbyshire or?
It comes under Nottinghamshire.
It's Nottinghamshire.
Yeah,
okay.
Whitwell near Worksop, Nottinghamshire. I just laid on bed relaxing, and I heard this voice. I didn't see sight part this time. I heard the voice, not see it. And I heard this human voice wanting me to go to Sheffield, but it's like I knew where the spot was, like my brain with a map. It's really hard to explain. Like I was controlled to go there. It was really weird. So I told my partner, I've just had a weird experience. But it were a human voice, and I said, "I've got to check it out." But told me to go on 24th of March, about evening time. And I says, "We're going to have to check it out." I thought, no, it's going to happen. It's just probably just a dream or something like that. But I know how wide awake when I had that experience. So I said, "I've got to check it out." He says, "No, don't bother." It did when I got there, which I didn't expect it to be.
And how many of you went there to?
3. So they were my partner, ex-partner. There were me and Dominic, he were in back at car.
And he was, what, about 8 years old at that time,
yeah,
is that right?
But it were forward at 8, you know, I think what were going on.
Street.
We're in Peak
Peak
District,
District.
yeah, because we went past this big house because we were accidentally drove up their drive, and I said, you're driving up somebody's property. They were at this river. Then we carried on going a bit further up, I think, somewhere. It weren't far away from all this. Peak District. I call it Stockbridge, Peak District, Sheffield, Moor. We're after 7 or after half 7. It wasn't like that when we got there, but we just started talking a bit in car for a while, then got out, then got back in car, then back out, then sort of sat back in. He kept saying, my ex-partner, nothing's going to happen. I says, I know, it'll probably just me having a vivid dream or something. Thought no on it, and then next minute, we seen like, I don't know if it were like a laser light shining down or mist in front of the car, and then car started rocking, like you could hear this tapping going all the way around car, like magnets were like being pulled, like magnet going.
Feel the movement of the car being lifted.
Well, and I seen the greys in this, well, I say mist more than anything, but it could have been the craft sort of. And then when I was looking down, there was a triangle, a black triangle, it was big, and it had neon lights and pink cerise light shining down bright.
So
that's not that one for Sheffield. No. Well, I don't know if they took us in the car, because I can't remember getting out the car. I just looked and seen the triangle craft. That was the second time when we were out at car when we got took again. We must have had missing time there at least 2 hours. 2 hours of missing time, because it must have been about getting on 10 o'clock or just after 10 when we got put back from, you know, what had happened.
And that's the 3 of you on together? Were taken as far as you remember?
Well, I don't know. I think they took Dominic, because Dominic started doing these drawings. I think my ex-partner, I don't know, because he felt groggy, like he'd been, you know,
sleeping
put to sleep. But they took Dominic because he did these drawings after he can remember quite a bit on craft and what these entities look like. He can remember the Sheffield incident just as much as me.
You're inside the car at this
point?
point?
No, I were out.
You were out?
I was getting back to the car, and Dominic and my ex-partner were in car. That's when I passed military. Felt like I didn't know whether I was coming or going. Where I were, what round, seen black helicopters. There were circa 2
or there's several.
I can't remember. I know I seen one, and whatever, I felt sick, and then I seen car. So they really put me back close to the car, and then I seen all military, and I thought, what's happening here? You know, I'm saying to myself, oh, what's happening here?
Because when you arrived at this spot, there was no military, not a sign of any helicopter.
No military, nothing, no one. There only might have been other people.
You returned.
We're over 2 hours.
You're surrounded by
there were military and people wearing black, like, I don't know, black suits. Someone really like businessmen or something like that. Yeah, they look human, but they weren't British there. But what were like sort of keeping guard so people couldn't go in, or so people couldn't go in, but I had to come out so people couldn't go in. They were wearing different uniform, like a brown beret, and like a tanny brown, all playing.
So no insignias or anything saying what
I didn't see it, but they had something in their hand, like, I don't know if it were a weapon, but like it was stood there with something.
And did anyone come over and speak to you?
They didn't say out to me. When I managed to get back to the car feeling a bit dazed, they were near the car, because the car were near there, so then what were keeping guard could see the car. I gets back to the car, and I opened the door and get in, just a bit dazed like, and my ex-partner John, he opened, you know, he sort of like seemed still tired. And Dominic were crying in back, and John got out of the car, and military swore at him and told him to get back in car. In other words, we're in more, they were having a go at, not me. I got closer and I went up, and he didn't say anything to me. He just says, in other words, get gone. All of us, get gone, get them back home now, you know, in a nasty way. So I got out of the car and I thought, oh, what are you shouting for? I was still a bit dazed. So I goes up, not right close to him, I went up to him, and he just didn't say anything to me, just looked at me and just turned away, and then just shouted again, get gone now. They knew what had gone off, I'm telling you that, they knew what had gone off. You know, we drove off a bit further up, and there was still military further miles and miles up.
Yeah, so you didn't actually go home, you just parked a few miles away.
Home. Got a bit further up, there was still military there, further up and further up, you know, more we went up.
And what did they seem to be doing, the military
looking for something.
Were they looking on the ground, or were they looking up in the sky, or?
Ground. To go home, they know. They got to have done, because I was there. I got abducted. Dominic was crying. I'm sure he did get taken, but I can't understand why I was staggering outside and Dominic was in the car, yet he was drawing.
Did you start drawing those pictures straight off?
When he got home, he was drawing them all the time, black triangle, grey areas, and then with horns, that's it, and then with horns. On the Stockbridge one, I can remember seeing the dinosaurs in that, but it was more the greys. I can remember more with Stockbridge.
Right.
I thought we'll keep driving till we see military, but it went for miles and miles further out, going for miles and miles and miles, and I thought there's a lot of military.
They got the brownie uniforms, and then there were some guys that looked like they were in black suits. Were there any other military kind of
British was there, yeah.
Weren't
The
English.
one what were shouting didn't have a British accent, so American I'd say. I think I weren't going to go, I thought, because I knew we'd been taken. And then it got to just after midnight, about a few minutes off 12:10, taking it into 25th of March, then 1997. I got took again, and Dominic did. I don't think John got took. I don't know. But we're outside the car then. Was a black triangle. It took us again. It looked like it. It had the same colour lights, pink cerise, neon blue lights, what shined down so bright. The crafts were massive. It's beaming down. It were bright. It were blinded. It were big, really big. They come back for me. They put me down for some reason. I don't know what. I mean,
maybe the military.
They put me down for some reason. I thought, because when I knew I'd got took for the second time, I thought, when I told people about it, people said they put you back for a reason, for your safety, and probably took you again. That's what some people thought. We're about a few minutes past 12, 25th of March, which takes it into day after. And they put us back about 2 minutes to 25 to 4 early hours in the morning, so we were missing a bit on that abduction second time.
And what about John?
He remembers the missing time and everything. He says something's happened. I told him bits about, my abductions. He couldn't remember a lot. Being at Stockbridge that 4th March 1997, remembers missing time and feeling all groggy. I needed to get off my chest what happened to me. So, because I've not known him that long and I'd only rung a few times, I didn't want to tell him a lot about myself, that I'm an, abductee. So I rung him up one time, and I'm sure I told him a few days before this incident that I had this telepathy link to go to Stockbridge. Rung him, I think it was day after, and he were already at Stockbridge, he said. He says, yeah, I'm already at this incident or something, I'm investigating. So I was just about to tell him, can remember when I told you that I had that telepathy link? It's about the time I got abducted, but he was so keen on putting the phone down because they were so excited with what were going off their light. I thought, I'll try again in a few days. After I rung him again, someone different answered the phone. A bit stroppy on that, he's just disappeared. Well, he's not moved out, he's just disappeared sort of, or moved out. I can't remember exactly what was said. We're going to tell him about the Sheffield incident, and all of a sudden, he don't want to speak to me anymore. He's not there. I don't know if that person what picked the phone up says just disappeared or he's disappeared.
Yeah. Can you tell us something of the entities now that Dominic was drawing, and that I don't know if you saw them as well?
The Sheffield incident, I'd say more the greys. And them in white lab coats, what look human. They got right short hair, like shortish hair, not long or anything, really short. But they're wearing these like white long coats, like scientists or doctors. Or I can remember that. Still, dinosaur like horns at back at shoulders and horns at back at head. They got it were about, I won't say it were right back at head, it were about here, stuck up, and then horns at back at shoulders. But I was still left baffled with the horns at back at shoulders, whether it were joined onto the body armour what they wear, or it were the body armour they were wearing, know, but it were solid body armour. Gosh, well over 9 feet tall, I'd say, and, really wide chest, and got 2 arms, 2 legs. Like walked, what I could see like humans. Skin tone, dark brown, I'd say more than anything, but a bit, they got them slits in eyes. I don't know, their eyes looked a bit more green. Yeah, they're the ones in charge at Grays, I'd say. I reckon this orange gentleman, that's the main one. Pictures at school, that's all he kept doing at school. Black triangle spaceships and the Grays and them dinosaur-like looking ones with all. Because the teacher came out to see me, says he's not concentrating on his work, he keeps drawing black triangle spaceships and evil aliens. That's how she worded it, and I just didn't know what to tell her. Just have nightmares, flashbacks and stuff like that, when it wasn't there, sleep with light out. I had flashbacks. I was scared. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it, I was scared, same. But after that Stockbridge incident, Sheffield incident, when it got past midnight, I can remember time, 2 minutes past 12, about 2 minutes off 12:10. It was about just before 25 to 4. So flashbacks I were getting. I mean, I've never been put under hypnosis for this one. I was just flashbacks like laying on that table and then sat up. It's like one of them dentist chairs what you sit. Injections in my wrist, in my right wrist. I get 2 injections put there. I had them. In fact, I can remember that bit, like they'd knocked me out like I'd been put to sleep. I had bruising, you know, like I used to do, a bruise there, a bruise there, sometimes on my legs, bruises, and sometimes here, which I've had bruising there and it swells up. I didn't notice any needle marks on Dominic, just me, because I checked. Dominic had like occasional scratches. I got the needle marks. They always do it there on my right wrist, 2 needles there. And I fell off it, sort of, We had got severe migraines and nosebleeds. That's when my migraines started and my nosebleeds.
So from that time.
I get them a lot now. It's since this Sheffield incident I started suffering severe migraines. It were that bad. It were horrible. And Dominic suffers them as well when we get nosebleeds. That even my husband says, why don't you go and have your head x-rayed? But I don't want to know, really.
Other support or help from family, friends or others?
A lot. I've had a lot of people really been understanding. A lot of friends have been understanding, been there for me, believe me. They've never condemned me. My family, you know, my brother and me 3 other sisters, like they haven't got an open mind or anything like. They don't believe in anything like this. I'm not saying they disbelieve me. They just no, they can't get their head around it, accept it. But friends and hubby's been good, and Javier's also been good with me as well.
You had another major incident, which I think you called the Creswell incident.
Yeah, that was not long after the Sheffield incident. This time it was a dark navy blue triangle craft. It looks black, but you can get a bit confused with these crafts because you know when they take you in dark. So I know that one at Sheffield definitely black, but it's like this one, dark navy blue. From a distance it looks black, but when it's close, because I've seen it at close range, it looks dark navy blue. It's smooth and shiny, the blue one. Underneath there's different coloured lights, neon blue, pink cerise, purple, green, white. It's a bit pyramid shape at top, but I couldn't get it perfect, the picture here. There's a red stripe what comes down at each corner and a blue stripe, red stripe, blue stripe.
A little bit like an insignia.
Yeah.
Do you think they're ETs or extra dimensionals, or do you think they're ours, or what's your thoughts?
I don't know. I just don't know on that. I don't think they're extraterrestrial. I mean, I know I've had all these experiences, but I ain't got answers to all. I don't feel the extraterrestrial.
Tell us about this Creswell incident then, because there were 3 of you then, weren't there?
Yeah, I'd been in hospital that afternoon, just trouble with my womb again, of course, which I blamed abductions for this. I kept bleeding, you know, all the time. And when they cauterised me that day, I got back home, they told me to rest. But someone told me to go to the shop. So I got my coat back on, I got Dominic and my mate Kath were there, and I says to Kath, are you going to come to the shop with me? She says, yeah. So we set off to go to the shop, just walking along the path, 2 minutes, far at all in Creswell. Kath noticed it, she looked up into the sky and she says, what's that? So I looked up and I thought, oh no, I knew straight away what it were. So I says, oh, it's them. So she says, because she's never experienced it before, who's them? I says, them. She says, who's them? I says, the others. So she says, who's the others? I says, oh, get ready, you're going for a ride. What? I says, you'll see. The Greys come out to us, they floated out at craft, come to us. They must have froze time or something.
Because this was broad daylight.
There were other people on the street. There were other people outside the shop looking up at the triangle craft. But the Greys in front of me, staring at me, there were about 5 on them. And it's like next minute we just had a blackout. You could feel the floating up, and it was like a blackout after that. 3.5 hour abduction that was. Yeah, they took Dominic and Kath, they took Kath. She ended up in hospital next day, bleeding down there. Apparently my hypnosis says these entities removed a fetus from me.
Have you had those ladies' problems for quite a long time with the bleeding?
With my womb, yeah. I've had cancer, early stage cancer cells at womb. When I was age 21, they wanted to give me a hysterectomy, but I wanted more children then, so I refused the hysterectomy. Then I'd had 2 major operations. I'd had 2 ectopic pregnancies, so I've had 2 major operations with that, and I still want to have my womb removed. So they said your cancer can come back, but I've been all right up to yet. I still get checked every now and then. Kath was bleeding down there, she ended up at hospital the next day. They checked her out, they couldn't find anything the matter with her. They just says, we can't find anything serious like. But she can remember the missing time, she can remember seeing the craft, the missing time. I've not seen her since. I know whereabouts she is because I've been saying to Alex, if you see Kath before me, tell her it's emergency, I need to see her. It scared her. She wouldn't talk to me for a bit because she says, I've never had these experiences until I met you. You know, but she can't remember everything on craft. She can remember the triangle craft, what it looked like, because she hadn't seen it first. And I said to Kath, I says, they took you because they wanted me and Dominic, because you were with me and Dominic at that time. They had to take you, they had no choice.
It's like buy two, get one free, isn't
Well, they got
it?
to. They couldn't leave her on the street.
Yeah.
Well, other people did see that on the street. Felt horrible, drained. I felt like all my life had been drained from me. Nosebleed again, ringing in ears. Just horrible. I just felt horrible.
So when you were returned to the same spot? That
No,
left
they
in?
put us near the front door. I remember just like my hypnosis even said that. Next thing I knew, I was turning key in the door.
Was Kath with you at that time?
Yeah, and Dominic. We
Just-
made a drink. I noticed missing time. Kath didn't look at clock. I looked at clock. Says 3 hours is gone. There was somebody in my house there, a male friend. His name were. He says, you three have been missing a while. I says, we haven't. He says, we have. And I looked at time and I knew, you know.
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing. We remembered craft. We remembered all that. Even Kath didn't show up talking about the triangle craft. She was telling Pete about it.
So she hadn't any idea that there'd been any missing time up until it was mentioned?
No, she could remember the triangle craft
just
and
that.
everything, seeing it, and we got back and all them 3.5 hours of missing time. You know,
Still.
it was still the same year, 1997, after the Sheffield incident.
Yeah.
They come for me in Creswell. He started drawing pictures again. He weren't just drawing them at school, he was drawing at home. So he got this Sheffield incident, drawing pictures to that one, then the Creswell one. It started affecting him.
Yeah.
He won't sleep. He's been getting taken since from being a baby, and I hope that won't happen. I kept praying that, I hope they don't, when he was a baby like, and then I realised it clicked on, they were taking him.
What age would he be when you realised that he was being taken as well?
They weren't even 1 year old, not even one.
And how did you know that he was being taken?
Because the flash, I knew I'd been taken as well. They might have took Dominic without me and put me in a deep sleep, but very rare they'd have took us together, because with Dominic being, they have got
Just
an
a
art
baby.
to that way, with him being a baby. I seen the greys float through wall, then I realised I could move because I'm not always paralysed all the time. See, when I get abducted, I'm not in bed asleep, I'm wide awake consciously. I've never been abducted while I've been asleep in bed, wide awake. I went into Dominic's room and he weren't there, and I seen greys float through a wall and they took me as well. So I started realising, and then when I was hoping Dominic would never remember as he got older. But when he started getting older, he started telling me, and it upset me. I just had, just cried and cried and cried. I just didn't want him to take Dominic.
Would you be able to say anything to these beings? Did you try?
I'm sorry I get upset when it's all to do with Dominic. It's okay. It's therapy for me anyway. It's just that when they take him, I just felt helpless, you know what I mean? I'm his mother and I can't protect him. I've got no control over it, don't know what to do, and he's still scared to this day, and he's 23-year-old. And they still take him to this day. At all, he won't go under hypnosis. I mean, I couldn't force him to go under hypnosis. Seeing greys in his bedroom, and he said, I remember bits, I'm shouting at the greys, don't take him, leave him alone. They took me and then took Dominic, because that's what he ended up with, claw marks. The grey was in his bedroom, he remembers all that. He got claw marks all on back of his neck, that I was shouting at the greys, leave him alone, just take me. This were a morning, it weren't at night. It must have been, I can't remember what time it were, I don't know if it were after 10, after 11 o'clock. As far as I can remember, I went room, then I went to see if Dominic were fine, and that really was like a blackout again. And I come back, I were on my hands and knees when I got put back with upset stomach in the living room on my hands and knees. Yeah. Dominic had to go to work, he were badly. He felt ill, he remembered it. Right. Dominic is different, quite a few of my friends have said it, he's not telling you everything in something.
He's very gifted as well, as I
yeah,
understand
he's got
it.
this gift as well.
So he's got the remote viewing and the telepathy.
I don't know about the remote viewing. He's like me sometimes. Times when I get upset and stuff like that, he's affected light bulbs as well, like I have. We can stare at a light bulb and it'll just explode and glass shatter. I've blown the TV up. Alex was mad with me because he'd only had that telly a year. Got a new TV now. I were angry with arguments. It just went boom, bang. And when bloke come out to see it back at TV, he says, I've never seen out like it. I've known a telly to blown, but it's all burnt out in back. Really? And I blew his, and same with his PlayStation. Dominic's like that sometimes, but not as, I won't say strong as mine. He's very smart, smarter than me. He knows a lot more and he's not letting on, because I know. I know things. He's not telling me everything to a certain extent. There's something he won't tell me. Sometimes I'll just take Dominic and knock me out. I know, because I was on my laptop one time. I knew they took Dom straight away, and it's like, well, I'm wide awake. The next minute, boom. I woke up with my head on the laptop, and I'd been out like up 2 hours. I weren't tired, and I knew Dominic had been taken. So And then sometimes they'll just take me and put Dominic into a deep sleep if he's awake. But most of the time as well, they take us both together. We both go.
Another type of being, this shadow being.
Shadow being. We see that a lot, me and Dom's. It's there more or less every night. You know, I've had a camcorder before, but it broke the camcorder until I get another one. It comes, Dominic says when Dominic's in his bedroom watching TV, you'll see the shadow, well, we call him Shadow Man, go into the room what I'm in. And then when I see the Shadow Man, he goes into the room Dominic's in and comes to me.
Do you actually see him like a physical 3D? Or is it?
It's not physical.
Right,
It's got a face, but no eyes, nose or mouth. They wear black. It look just like they're wearing black. I've never felt threatened by him. One time I seen it when I went backyard, I were outside late one night, you know, after midnight, and it were at bottom of the garden. And it were like, even though it's got no eyes, you just know, you know, looking straight at you. But I got the impression it were protecting me, wanting me to go back indoors because it were late at night. It must have read my mind, I was going to go for a walk. Just felt like going for a walk that night. Could have been after about 15 or 16 when he started seeing it.
So it's been with you around a few years?
Yeah, it's never harmed us.
Do you hear anything when they're around?
No.
Does anything change, or do you see it full vision, or is it out of the periphery of your vision?
No, I see it full vision about 3 times a week. That's 3 times a week. Sometimes it's been more like.
Do they affect anything around you?
Sometimes electricity or flickering at lights when they're around, or telly might just switch off and come on its own accord.
And when that happens, do you see these beings in the vicinity?
Sometimes I don't. When that electricity or telly can come on its own, I don't always see these shadow beings. Right. It just happens anyway. They don't seem to be there always before an abduction. I think this is entirely different. But yeah, okay. I feel it's something entirely different to the abductions. I don't think they're connected. Yeah, and then Mark says Alex's husband, seen it a few times.
And your husband's seen it.
But Dominic don't even feel like they're a threat. Dominic's seen it in his room quite a few times, and it just don't really do anything to him, like, or communicate. Just
whilst we say they might be sort of crossing dimensions and doing surveillance, but they did actually have some material impact, tugging at a lead to your computer, you mentioned.
And when we'd seen it, like, it was tugging on my laptop. So Dominic started laughing, so I says, it's not funny. They started tugging at Dominic when he ran his laptop, so I laughed back and I said, see?
Yeah.
You know, it's because you were laughing at me. Play little tricks like that. Not threatening. They've banged on set of drawers if I've been in bed resting. There'll be a bang on set of drawers, and next minute I'll see the shadow being. It's like they did it on purpose just to wake me up.
Oh, you were talking off camera before about your premonitions.
I get them a lot of visions.
Yeah.
They show me moving images. First, when I know when one of them's going to happen, I see like a blank screen in front of me, and then it blank, then it'll light up like a very light blue in colour. Then I'll see a flash, a light, and then that's when they start showing me it moving. I see it moving images.
You actually saw that Concorde crash. How was that presented?
I started falling down on the ground, and I was feeling everybody's pain. And I was crying. I felt like my body was burning, and pain everywhere in my body, and I could feel everybody else what was suffering, what were dying through it. And I seen it. It was like I was there, like I was there, but I weren't. It was just the moving images I was seeing. So I told Alex straight away about it. I think he rung a few people up and said she needs to tell someone about this. But I told Alex to leave it. No one will believe me. And then it happened less than 2 weeks after I predicted it. Yeah. Alex just looked at me, so I felt rotten. Just went into the other room and just cried. I thought, well, I could have saved him. But he just said, this person out of the rent phone says she needs to tell somebody about it because she could prevent it.
We really don't know that.
But it was horrible because I seen it all. It was like I was there, and I was feeling what they were feeling, what they were suffering. It was horrible. I predicted one of Alex's friends were going to die. I couldn't get the name right. I got the initial S, and I said it's something to do with his chest, his lungs. Alex thought it was his sister, so I rung Sandra up. She says, I'm fine. And then next minute, one of his mates rung him up a few days after and says, your best mate Stuart's just died to do with it, lungs, and all that came true. Then I told Alex, I says, which I don't know his ex Sharon or her family, and I'd hardly been out much at that time because I just felt low and I didn't much, so I just said I've just had a vision. Sharon's brother's got cancer and he's going to die soon, and Alex looked at me and he just said, oh, you know, and I says, Vanessa, your daughter's going to ring you up within the next 2 days and tell her she's died of cancer. And 2 days after I predicted that, Sharon's brother Anthony, I think his name, were a dad, because I got name right on that one. I got full name, I said, and you know, we were just shocked. He says, how do you know these things? Who tells you these things?
Yeah. When you get the premonition, is it a completely different experience from, say, being shown things with ET?
So it's the same like these moving images. I don't know who's showing me the images.
So it's not necessarily anything to do with a link with ET?
I think, really, I do think
you
it's what's showing me these moving images and me having to try and piece it all together. Because when his ex's brother died, I even seen me and Alex at funeral. And I thought, well, I'm not going to go, but I ended up going. And I weren't going to go, but I had to, you know. Though I don't know her, I just was there for Alex, like, because it was his ex who brother had died, so I went.
Quite like to talk about the very interesting things you've seen inside the craft and some of the other beings you've met. You were talking about the ceiling of this craft. Now, we were talking about you being taken in different kinds of craft.
Yeah. Well, I know one of them I'll just mention now. One I'm seeing is that big orange ball spear. I've never been taken by that, but I've had a close encounter a few times with that one. But the one what were taking me first was silver dish shaped. It was round silver dish shaped. That kept taking me all the time.
From a young age?
Yeah, young. Okay. It were never triangle. It were in early 1990. As soon as we got into 1990, this went it changed from dish shaped to triangle.
That's interesting.
In early 1990s, because I thought, well, it used to be this white triangles.
And were they the same people?
They look it to me, but the greys, you see, it's hard to tell because they all look identical anyway. Yeah. And then they were still then the same, the dinosaur-like horns.
So the beings that were still in the craft were still the same ones on the different shaped craft, as far as
because it was still them tall.
The detail that we're looking at here, you were talking about that.
I know I haven't drawn it right.
It's actually that they're embossed into the ceiling.
Inside triangle craft, the ceiling's round and it's beige in colour here and all here. The snake-like symbols, what's embossed in the middle of the ceiling, they're also in beige. These symbols, they're beige as well.
Does it look quite large, the image, the embossed?
Quite big. They're not small, but it don't cover all.
This bit here, the rounded bit, is this like a concave? So you're looking up like a cupola, you know, like you see.
Yes.
Yes.
That's just how it were. It's all beige. Everything's beige, and then there were another circle going round like that. That's how I've drawn it. It's beige, even though symbols are in beige, but they're embossed. They stand out in the ceiling.
Interesting, because we were talking that these symbols could have some possible Egyptian connection.
Yeah, it's hard to draw. You've got to see it with your own eyes. I have a lot of. I could do sight telepathy, like
which means you can hear, not only hear, but you see.
I can see
who it is that's giving you the information.
Yeah.
So tell us about this one.
Well, I had an experience where they were showing me Egyptian symbols last year, but this one I had this year. All of a sudden, I was just stood up. I'm wide awake. It just came like that. I seen the moving images, but then I seen the grey, and he were looking at me like that in craft, like he looked scared with his head leaned like that, looking straight at me. Even though I'm the grey could see me, but he looked a bit scared because, well, I don't think he was scared, but it's how he started showing me Egyptian symbols, and then it started showing me 3 pyramids. They're all in a 9 like that. It was showing me all at the same time and pointing at that one. Then he looked at me again with his head down like that, pointed at the second one, and then looked at me again, then pointed at that.
We've written those numbers. They weren't written on there as they were shown to you. It's
that's
just to
how
show
it's
the
shown
progression.
Me in order, but they were all there, the 3, and he pointed at that, looked at me at that one, and then that one, and then after that can see me. And then he showed me DNA symbol. Can't do a drawing on that.
Did he also show you the other symbols at this same time of the
other Egyptian symbols? Yeah.
Which was a couple of the other symbols you were talking about, or 2 or 3 of them were like, one was a bird kind of symbol.
Looked like a bird symbol.
Another one was a little bit like a goblet.
Yeah.
Drinking vessel, and the other one was a bit like a snake. Is that right?
Yeah, it went like that sort of. There were more. A lot more than that. I just couldn't remember them all. And I can't piece it together at the moment. But like I said before that as well, they were showing me like 3D patterns and colours. Like it were all, their colours are different, aren't they? They look more colourful and bright, like
more vibrant.
Purple, a big ball, like purple balls like that. And then on the floor it was like all purple with patterns. I can't remember all this. A lot of detail to this. And at bite, that were all purple and all with patterns all at bite. And it just felt like I was there. Shapes and patterns, colours, it were all purple more than anything, bright purple. Just felt like I was there.
I mean, I've heard other people also talk about going actually inside the hologram.
But that's how I felt. It felt like I was there and
Yeah.
I could touch it. Putting my hand out, even though it was like telepathy, and I'm putting my hand out like I could touch it, as if I was there.
It's a bit like watching a 3D film, isn't it?
I don't understand. I'm saying by telepathy, show me more. Help me out on this. I don't understand what you're trying to tell.
Somebody you've seen on the triangle craft, he seemed to come through the wall of the triangle craft.
Yeah, I was in the triangle craft. I was laid down on this like table. The greys were around me. Straight through wall came this big glowing orb, but all different colours. It were like sort of glittery, all different colours. And this entity, orange entity, what's not in physical form, just glows like the orange sun, how sun glows. Just walked straight through that ball orb, whatever it were. Walked straight through it. There was no door what opened. So I just got this feeling. It was like a feeling I thought I was dead, to be honest. I thought I was in afterlife. I thought I'd died He reminds me of the sun. Glows orange.
And you also said he was tremendously tall.
Very tall. And I thought, hard to say, but really tall. When the greys were around me, he came up to me and touched my forehead and was stroking my face and my hair. Greys tend to do that a lot to me, as the greys. I felt like there's something special about this one, someone higher up. I only see one of these, that glowing one, what glows orange, just one.
Going back to the frequency of you being taken,
Been about 4 or 5 times a month. That sort of slacked off a bit. At the moment it's about twice a month now, or it could be once a month. Once or twice a month I'd say now, but they'll still make contact if they don't always take me, communicate, or they will float through a wall. When I'm at home, affected me out.
Also to the point where you don't like going out by yourself.
No, I don't go anywhere on my own. I hyperventilate with panic attacks, I can't breathe. But you know, sometimes when that happens, when I can't breathe, I get taken. And that's why I end up with needle marks sometimes. I've noticed that when I hyperventilate, I can't breathe. But not all the time.
Sometimes when you're taken, you're really feeling unwell and poorly and can't eat.
Yeah, when I come,
Although you're on the road to recovery in terms
I'm putting weight on slowly.
Really, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, I went down to 5 stone once. I was worried like, and you could see my bones and everything.
And that's just through sheer stress.
Yeah, through it all, because I just want answers, and it drains you. You get to the point you can't take any more of it.
Any insight at all?
No, not really.
So it's just a game plan that's still unfolding and you're still putting those pieces together. Yeah. We were talking to Alex, who's your husband, earlier on, and talking about all the jets that were suddenly around
I'd say
Whitwell.
we ate jets because Dominic knew the jets. We knew we'd been taken. Dominic couldn't remember everything on the spot. I knew I'd been taken because I says to Alex, I got abducted last night. And he says, which I didn't know about this what his mate told him at work. I just told Alex before he went to work, I said I got abducted. You know, before he went to work. Like, when he come back home from work, he says the MI5 or MI6 all in Whitwell and Oddfort. Well, it's close together, Whitwell and Oddfort, sort of. And I said, just round the corner, it's another place. Cars and a lot of MI5 and 6 or something round Whitwell and Oddfort.
Which is a bit unusual, isn't it?
But I did it jets, but I'm trying to think because... You know, when you get taken, sometimes you don't remember everything. Dominic might remember a bit more on that. I don't know if jets were before we were taken or after.
As a young man of 23, how do you feel as a mum that he's coping?
I don't think he's coping. I can pick up on that. But he don't want to look scared and tell me because he don't want to upset me. Yeah. So, and I tell him, look, I says, don't worry about me. I'm concerned about you. If you're scared and it's frightening, you just talk to me. But I think he's worried because how my house been through abductions, he don't want to worry me.
But he still gets the migraines, does he?
Yeah, he gets severe migraines, the nosebleed. I get severe migraines and nosebleed. They started, like I said, after the Sheffield incident with severe migraines and nosebleed. Tells Danny, or his closest friend. Tells Danny knows.
Have any of his friends had any experiences with him?
Danny went, I think it was last year, he went to Scotland with his fiancée, and I never told him what the craft looked like. Not to every detail. And he went to an odd summer, and as he took dog for a walk, left his girlfriend where they were staying, and he looked up and he seen a triangle in Scotland above him. So he panicked, he said, and he started to run. And he says he felt it had something to do with me. And they got back from Scotland, him and fiancée, he rung Dominic, says, it's important, I need to see your mother. So Dominic asked why, he says, I seen triangle craft. So he came at 4 in the morning to tell us this, 4 early hours in the morning, which I weren't bothered away. And he says, I seen that craft, triangle craft when I was at Scotland. So I said, describe what it looked like. I weren't going to tell him. And he described what it looked like to every detail. I said, yeah, that's that one what takes me. He says, yeah. but I felt it had something to do with you. They were telling me something.
So,
something he thinks it could have got taken, but he said it had something to do with me.
What we're looking at there is a dinosaur-like creature, and it's these horns. Now, you said you weren't sure that whether they were part of the...
I'm not sure with these horns there. I know they're real horns. They're red. They've got one side on back at head. It's dinosaur. Okay. But these are, it wears hard. This is hard body armour. The way it's really hard, solid, and these horns are at back. So I don't know if the horns are coming out of this entity's body, or it's
just on the
joined
armour.
Onto the armour.
Thought that these were the ones in charge. Is that?
Yeah, they are at grade. Some have got wings, some haven't.
Do you see these around very much?
Odd times.
Yeah.
Dominic sees these more because he remembered something on one at abduction above. I think it was the Creswell one. I'm not sure. He knows
that's where the three of you were taken.
Dominic.
Yeah.
That one was guarding Dominic. While when I went under hypnosis, I can't remember seeing Dominic under hypnosis or Kath with the Creswell one, but Dominic remembers this one was guarding him while I were in another room. One of these were guarding Dominic. That's what he remembered as someone stood there like sort of guarding him while they were doing what they were doing to me.
That is intriguing. I'm just going to...
But I don't know on that part.
Yeah.
I didn't see it under hypnosis. Dominic needs to go under hypnosis. Somebody is scared of having it done, and I push him.
Is one of the greys, and it does look like a hybrid. I think it looks like a human hybrid.
Yeah,
almost.
They've got a nose. These what take me and Dominic got a little nose and a little slit. I don't know what it is so much, but their eyes are slanted, more bigger. Their eyes, I say, are more a dark brown than a black. They look the jumper what they wear, what comes right up to the chin.
I mean, you say it's a jumper because it looks to you as if it's quite thick material.
Don't look like an all-in-one jumpsuit. It's what they wear. They looked all baggy trousers, like sort of a bit baggy down here. But it's hard to say because they've got that black blazer jacket on, like sort of fastened, sort of. It just looks like a knitted wool jump, you know.
It could be a human hybrid.
Well, they do look close to human. It's just their eyes and the colour. But then again, like I said, me and Dominic, abduct me and Dominic, and more of a pale white.
Are quite thick. If that's
they don't look right long, because I questioned Dominic on this when he's experienced with greys. He don't think the neck's right long.
The archetypal greys that we see, the little guys with the skinny neck and the much more bulbous head and the very
wasn't right long. Not what I've seen when they wear that clothing, because you'd know the neck could still look long, but it's the orange glowing one. What's not in physical form? I really could say tall whites, not greys, because that'd be more a pale white. Dinosaur like ones. That whatever it is, that other one with green eyes with like slits. I don't really know what that is.
Count the shadow people in, or
no, because I'm not sure. Their eyes are slanted to these entities.
I mean, it doesn't look the archetypal reptilian that we're familiar with.
No, I can't say. I don't know what to think of that.
So there's about four or five different types of beings, and these seem to have been with you almost throughout all of your experiences, and almost Dominic's as well, doesn't it?
It's always been the greys, though, what come
the main ones.
They're the main one. Dominic sees these with the dinosaur-like one, remembers a lot more than what I do. He seems to see him a lot more than what I can remember. I mean, I don't remember all my abduction. I only remember bits, and it's weeks and months, and, pass by, I start remembering more.
I mean, have you been able to work?
I've tried to do it, ringing up for jobs, and I just can't do it because he's been taken before he set off to go to work, and it is very rare we've been took in a day. It's more been evening or night or early hours in morning, but they do take you odd times, and it affected Dominic that day at work. He couldn't concentrate and he looked drained. Come back home and he didn't feel well, and he went to work with 3 claw marks on the back of his neck. There were a claw mark, and then there were big gap, another claw mark, a big gap, then another claw mark.
Did he ever take any pictures of those?
I wanted to. I took pictures of his bruising and other markings. He won't let me take a photo on it.
Yeah.
He were really upset.
And you were talking about your domestic situation, that you've moved an awful lot.
Oh, I've always moved up in. Oh, they might leave me alone if I move now. They've always found me. Wherever I've moved to, they find me. But I did used to get stalked a lot with these 2 people in a car.
What they look like?
They used to watch, according to neighbours, 24/7, but I don't think they'd be the same people in car. Well, I'm not always looking out at window 24/7. And then they'd be there every time I stepped out, and then you'd see them talking through something. I don't think, when I'd go, probably if I went to pub for a drink, then they'd start making phone calls in pub. asking for me. And then someone as are good at phone, they'd put phone down. Well, like that. And then one time they turned up at my house with my mate Andrew with her, and she went to the door and they wanted to see me. She says, no, she don't want to see anyone. We don't know who you are. And they put the foot there. They didn't get nasty, but they put the foot there. Like, sunglasses wore dark, they wore black. It's like everyone seems to wear black.
Did they look like Men in Black, you know, the archetypal kind of thing?
I never said Men in Black. Remind me like gangsters, mafia gangsters. That's what I assume. I said to Andrew, they look like mafia gangsters. She says, yeah, they do, don't they? Suits,
coats, jackets, suits, hats.
Sunglasses. I can't remember. I think one of them did have an hat, but they were bald-headed.
Very much like the Men in Black.
I never worded it Men in Black.
No, I know, but it does sound it
from mafia. But they've never turned up at door at Whitwell, you know, where I live. Never turned up there.
But you've had quite a lot of harassment.
Yeah.
Haven't you, from social media places as well as people ringing you up saying...
Yeah, I've been getting phone calls, they're still happening.
And what do they tell you?
Just saying, we're watching you, you better keep quiet, we've got a surveillance on you. They don't say a lot.
What are they surveilling you for?
As we're watching you or something, and, you know, which Alex is a witness on that, but they withhold the number and sometimes they don't answer it, sometimes calls are they start from 12 o'clock midnight till about 4:30 in the morning.
Have you tried to trace them at all?
No.
And you've had people saying to you, telling you information which you say, well, they can only have known that if they were listening
they know everything about my private life, everything. You know, which I've explained, I'm married to Alex, like we've been married for 14.5 years. We have like an open marriage, we're separate ways at the moment, and I've been seeing Javier for 3 years. Alex knows about it as well. Military, I had military talking to me on social networking sites, face-to-face, saying, we know everything about him, you see. And so I says, he says, Javier lives in London, he's got long black hair and he's Spanish. And I says, what? And they says, oh, we know you're having an affair with him, we're going to tell your husband. And I says, well, you can come and meet my husband now if you want, and he'll tell you he knows about it, so you can't pull that, you know, you can't get me on that one. He knows that Javier comes to picks me up while Alex is there. I says, he knows.
So that sounds like it's intimidation tactics from the military to stop you talking about something they obviously think's quite important.
Yeah, so I says, go and talk to my husband, he knows about it, so you can't threaten me with that. It's not done behind his back.
It can only be to do with what's happening to you, these abductions. And if that's the case, and they must have something to do with it, because otherwise why would they...
And they said they were going to put me to test my ability. Well, that's when I had that experience. I told I know it weren't spiritual world I were communicating with. Sat on settee and I just seen this human repeat sight telepathy again, or it were remote viewing, whatever it were, sight telepathy. I seen this human, but it were like in an office, blind shut. It reminded me of someone from 60s. It was sat at this desk, like he were, I don't know if he got a pen in his hand, and he was communicating with me. So I could see him, so he could see me. He was asking just like questions, what you doing with Alex, even that. I mean, I told Alex, but he says, what you doing with Alex? I don't know why that were mentioned in with this when he told me to step out, like sort of step out from where I am, you know, at home, like. And
you mean physically, like step out the door or something?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
We want to see you, or something like that. So I knew then I weren't communicating with spiritual world, but I knew more or less straight away. It was just weird. There were other things going off, but I can't remember it all.
Did you step out?
No, I snapped my son out of it. Yeah. He was wearing, you couldn't see his face. His face was blanked off. You could see him like, he was like wearing a suit but without the jacket. But he still reminded me of someone from the 60s. So when that happened, when that military says we're going to put you to test. So I don't know if that was that or it was something else. And then not long after I had another experience where there was someone else like, but this one was like dressed from the 60s as well, sat on his chair tapping. And I could see him, it was like I was behind him, behind the chair, see it again. And he turned round, stood up, turned round, looked at me, even though I'm having done through sight telepathy, and looked straight at me so he could see me.
Did he say anything to you?
No, there were like no communication, just looked straight at me as if to say...
So like another test?
Test. Because it was weird this happened after the military said that, we're going to put you to test. And I had them experiences not long after that.
Have they threatened you at all?
No, I've never been threatened. They seemed protective, some on them more than anything.
Oh, what, the military?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So they're doing
They wanted to know who got my phone number, who I gave my phone number to. We need to check it out. Don't talk to anyone.
Like they don't know?
Yeah, we need to check out who you talked to and who you gave phone number to.
I mean, do you think that with the technology, they don't need to ask you anything like that? They just know.
Don't talk to people you don't know face to face. Told me to keep quiet about me. Sort of abductions, but they were interested in
your ability
to put me to test. On social networking sites, Facebook,
okay.
And Alex is a witness to that because he would read it messages they were sending. It says they were, you don't know who you're dealing with, something, because I were giving it back just as much as he were giving it.
So they were being intimidating.
Frightened me.
Yeah.
So I were giving it him back and he didn't like it. And he says, you have no idea how powerful I am. Yeah, how powerful I am. I said, it was definitely whatever. Because I'd been through my abductions feeling a bit low and stuff like that. They were like telling me, I told you me and JV had a little fallout, I ended it, and they were telling me to get back with him.
Who's they?
Military. Okay. Yeah, when they knew everything about JV. I told JV about it all, and he feels he's been followed before.
Does he?
Yeah, followed. They just told me sort of, because it's JV at the moment what keeps me going. If I get back with him, it's him what takes my mind off things from everything. Even though I've been taken when I've been with JV, like it, in Old Town. He'd not be able to handle it. Because I said to him, what if you experience it properly, consciously, I don't think he'd handle it. I don't know. But then again, he's strong. He had that experience when I were at my home, and he were in London, where he lives with his parents. He went paralysed, do a wide awake. He went paralysed, but he couldn't move or shout. He could only move his eyes. And he said he heard my voice in bedroom saying they want you to look at the screen. So in other words,
he thought it was your
want
voice.
You to look at the screen. He said it was my voice.
Right. Just want to bring you to this image on the screen. This is
That's
a picture.
When I seen similar, and it looked like me from my younger days.
We were talking about hybrids and possibly hybrid children before. You don't remember really feeling that
I've never felt pregnant by these entities or anything like that.
Right.
Never ever felt that. But under hypnosis, apparently they moved a fetus from me. Like by this laser came down onto my stomach and removed the fetus. Whether I was cut open or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it just he got a mark there, Javier. And I had a mark there. It was like it weren't like a lump. It just swelled up like blistery like and looked really dark, horrible colour. And he had one.
I know another lady who had a similar thing, and she said it looked like it had been burnt slightly.
This looked really horrible. I didn't like how it looked.
It was, but and also these drawings, the images are hybrids.
Yeah, similar, but they look more human-like. It's just their eyes are big, slanted.
Could it be possible that you drew these because these might be your daughters?
That's how I seen them under hypnosis as well, and what I can remember bits from my abduction. I did say they might be your own, but I feel still, even if they're not mine, there's some connection. They didn't, under hypnosis, I mean, I don't believe that hypnosis tells you everything. I mean, we can't say it's 100% accurate, like, to a certain extent. Under hypnosis, they didn't want me to go. Says that Chantal doesn't want to leave the children. I says, no, they don't want me to go. That's when I got emotional and upset under hypnosis. But I feel there's some connection somewhere. I don't believe I'm a breeder.
To bring it up now in case I forgot.
I'd drawn that 2 days before the opening ceremony at Olympics.
Okay, in London.
Yeah, but I didn't, when I had the vision, they didn't show, I didn't see it Olympics. I was drawing, I got London because it was just strange because in the vision I was ringing Javier up to see if he were okay. And I told Javier about it, and that's when they didn't show me anymore. I was ringing in this vision Javier like to tell him, and I snapped out at vision. There were no more showing me.
So if we take it from the beginning, how did this vision come to be?
Sort of tidying up, and it just came, where I see this blank screen, then it turns blue, then I get this flash of light, and then it was showing me all this. I heard someone mentioned James Bond, but that's weird because that happened on opening ceremony. I mean, I did this 2 days before opening ceremony at Olympics. James Bond were on Olympics, so that was strange because I said to Alex, I says, James Bond were mentioned, I heard in this vision. Then I seen like a square craft, but it was a bit rounded on
the edges.
On edges. I'd say that was man-made. It weren't alien or anything like that. I mean, I hadn't drawn it properly. And out of this craft, I seen a load of parachutes, but there were then parachutes what looked longer,
more cylindrical.
Not round. Yeah,
cylindrical.
Come out this craft, and as soon as these were like canisters on, and as soon as they hit the ground, all this it smoked a little bit, and all the people were sort of just dropping dead and couldn't breathe, and like going a funny colour. What I seen in vision, like they went like bits of purpley colour, not all over, and it were horrible.
So you've written on here as well, burn marks on the skin, itching and purple skin and swelling.
Yeah, that's what I seen in it.
At least more than 20 parachutes dropped.
Yeah, there were at least, I didn't draw them all.
Were they dropped from the
They were
craft?
dropping from that square craft, but they were dropping them in different places. That's
Right.
what I seen, but it was some chemical.
But it was the craft that was dropping them.
Yeah, but I believe that's man-made, not alien. Shoots are coming down, someone says, oh, James Bond, that I had that vision 2 days before Olympics opening ceremony. So when we watched the opening ceremony, me and Alex, when James Bond come on, he went, James Bond. So I looked at him, I thought, oh gosh, is something going to happen with that? But nothing happened.
All of this, and then you also, out of concern for Javier, you were going to call him. You know, you imagined that, did you? You'll see yourself doing that in your
That was in
vision.
the vision. Yeah, I see me calling Javier on phone, and then when I got like sort of calling him, I didn't see no more. It ended there. But I'm not 100% it will, but I just think it is. It was just me ringing Javier as.
What was your feeling about this, as it was a vision? You know, your usual visions. You know,
Well, usually when I have these visions, which you know, Alex will tell you the same, and I've got witnesses with other people. I'm 99% out of 100 accurate.
What's your feeling about this? Do you have any?
I don't think it's got to do with Olympic. No, they'd have shown me that. I think. Didn't say anything like that. When that craft were coming over dropping shoots, it would go to somewhere else and drop another. And some of them were dropping at the same time, some of them weren't. And as soon as they hit ground on them canisters, it like went a bit smoky, but some it released out, and that's when I seen.
Saw people hitting the ground in, you know, dead bodies. Did it look like it might have been people about their shopping or something, or was it a big stadium?
Streets
Just
as well, not just busy shopping centres, just people like in probably
just around anywhere.
Yeah.
In the suburbia and wherever.
I didn't see it like in a busy place like a town or anything like that. It can mean also something else, or it's really hard to explain. When they show me these moving images and stuff like that, I don't mean to say it's going to happen like that, but it's something that's going to happen like that, but it might not happen like that. It might not happen where they come down on parachutes, even though they were showing it me like that, this chemical, biological weapons. It could happen another way. That's how it is sometimes when they show you visions. You've got to piece it together.
Thank you so much for your bravery. And sharing. I know it's meant, you know, I know it's taken you a lot to do this.
Yeah, it has.
And I know people don't really quite understand the courage it does take, but you know, folks, it's amazing.
I think it helps as well. It's like it gave me some therapy, you know, by
helps
talking.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, lovely.
We have another Ammach interview with CHANTELLE Sabrina Pyper. Thank you very much, CHANTELLE. Absolutely brilliant. Bye, everyone.